How's it, fam? Welcome back to Larry's Anything Goes. It's Tuesday. Hopefully you guys are having a great week. Today discussion I'm going to be talking about the pros and cons of living in the DMV area. Bienvenido a la ciudad de Washington, D.C. Welcome to the city of Washington, D.C., known as the DMV, which is the Washington, D.C., Maryland, Northern Virginia area, and I'm just going to be getting to the pros and cons of it. So let's start off with the biggest pro of them all, and that is we have a lot of jobs, and guess what? More jobs. Have one of the best job markets throughout the United States of America, ranking up there with Texas, New York, California, Washington State, Oregon, Florida, the whole nine. Have some of the best job markets out there. Obviously, as follows, we have one of the biggest when it comes to the job market. You have the federal government, you have the military. Thank you all for your service. You have government contractors, and obviously a lot of the mom and pop businesses that follow suit with those entities being within the specific areas of all three regions of the DMV area. So a lot of people benefit off of that. And when it gets down to it from the private sector standpoint that has no real association with the federal government, is you have the healthcare industry. So you have companies like Metastar, which is located in Columbia, Maryland. You have Marriott International headquarters, which is located in Bethesda, Maryland. Inova Health, which is located in Falls Church. You have SAIC, you have Leidos, you have Khaki, you got Mantech, Boeing. So many companies. I could go on and on about these companies. You got Booz Allen Hamilton. That's a big deal. You have the University of Maryland. That's a big deal. You have George Mason. When you look at the university standpoint, that's a big freaking deal. You have Giant Foods. It's like I said, I go on and on. A lot of these companies, they do so many different things from an innovative level. They do. You have Verizon Communications. They're located in Washington, D.C. It's actually, it's amazing because a lot of times corporations won't put their headquarters actually within the city of D.C. They actually put it either on the Maryland side of the river or the Virginia side of the river. So it always varies depending on the aspects of it, of the situation. And then obviously you have Amazon. They're bringing half of their East Coast headquarters to New York City, and they're bringing it here to the DMV, Crystal City, I believe, which is right next to the Ronald Reagan National Airport. So you have all these industries that are here and that are coming here. So obviously, that's a big pro. Now, one of the biggest cons to living in this area, and I think most major areas can deal with that. But before I even get into that, this is the National Harbor, Washington D.C. National Harbor. Everybody loves it. It's considered, the fun place to be, especially now that you have the MGM there and all that. I still haven't been there. Probably never go because I've been to the real MGM, which is in Las Vegas. So Vegas trumps this area any day. That's just my personal opinion. I had to throw in that side note there just to keep it real with you. I do MGM on the West Coast, not on the East Coast. Too uptight for me. But anyways, I digress. One of the biggest cons living in this area is the traffic. Traffic sucks. Like most metropolitan areas, it sucks. I don't care if you live in DC, live in Northern Virginia, live in Southern Maryland. It sucks either way. Coming and going. The metro here sucks. I'm just going to keep it real with you. That's why most people use Lyft and Uber if they're going to go into the city, or they park themselves. Me, I don't do that. I'm getting into a Lyft car. That's just me. Or an Uber car, because I like convenience. But yeah, traffic's a nightmare, especially because all the jobs are specifically centered in always one area, and most of the people that even work in those areas can't even afford to live there, or they don't want to live there even if they can't afford to live. It could be living in Alexandria, Arlington, or DC because they want the regular suburban lifestyle. And I get it, especially if you have a family, or a lot of times people just can't afford to live in those specific areas. They can't afford to live in DC. They can't afford to live in Arlington. It's getting to the point eventually it's going to be they can't afford to live in PG County, which is on the Maryland side of the house. So you have all these people driving all these far distances away, from an hour to 2 hours sometimes. They live in West Virginia. They can live in Pennsylvania. They live in Fredericksburg, which is about two hours away from Washington, D.C. A lot of times people will take the train. So your life revolves around the traffic in this area, like other metropolitan areas. We're not the only ones. But I will say that with all sincerity. It's like The traffic sucks, especially when it comes to going to a comedy event, going to a sporting event. You know, I love going to comedy events, but it can take you up to 2 to 3 hours to get there, 2 to 3 hours to get back. So a lot of times you spend 4 to 5 to 6 hours within a day just from a traveling and commuting standpoint to go to an event. So a lot of times I remember meeting a guy who lives in Fredericksburg and he worked in DC. He was like, my quality of life has gone to crap. He's like, hey, I like to get out and do stuff. I don't want to just sit in the house. But he bought the big house down in Fredericksburg for his family. I get it. When you have a family, that's what you do. You make sacrifices. It's not about you, it's about them. So I get it. But that is definitely not for me. Spending 2 hours to get to work and 2 hours to get home every day. By the time you get home, you're exhausted. You don't want to do anything. So it just makes you, so a lot of times you have a lot more people who are a lot more isolated, and you know, they don't have that much time to go out and have fun. Like being at work is considered their social time, because once they leave, they've taken care of their family, or they're on the go, or they're commuting. So there's just no quality of life, in my personal opinion. But that's just me. Everybody makes their own choices, but that's just one of the biggest things. And then a lot of times, you know, when you go to these events, like anywhere else in the country, the food, the beverages is going to be overpriced, you know. So that's one big con in my book, and I'm sure a lot of other people's books when it comes to living in the DMV. Now, one big pro, that if you buy a piece of real estate, no matter whether it's in Maryland, no matter if it's in Washington, D.C., no matter if it's in Northern Virginia, your property value will go up, up, up. Even during the recession, the DMV housing market, the values stayed down for only about 3 to 4 years tops. But unlike most parts of the United States, you know, the demand grew, and therefore the property values went up. And even during the recession, most people started venturing closer to the major cities of the states, or into the major cities of the states, because those are the areas where most of the jobs are even being created. So the values of a lot of areas have just gotten ridiculous. But you know, it's like I always say, no matter whether an area has high taxes or low taxes, one thing is, if there's a housing shortage and there's more people than there are houses, then it allows the value of those properties to be assessed to go up, up, up. And it's, you know, hey, real estate, it's a money game, it's a numbers game. Love it or hate it, don't take my word for it. Do your own research on this. It's all about the dollars at the end of the day. Capitalistic country, that's what it's all about. Get rid of it or stop complaining. That's how I look at it. Let's just keep it real. So anyways, you know, that's one of the biggest pros about living in the DMV area. You buy a house, you know, the value of that house for the most part will go up, and you will, as long as the housing market doesn't completely collapse, you should be able to make a good profit off of your house, you know. So it's one of those things you want to look into and do your own research, you know, because the demand is here. Because why? We have a lot of jobs, and that list, and like I said, it's just a continuous thing. So yeah, we have a lot of jobs, and hey, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, it's like a great example. Even look at this, because I like to do comparisons. You know, people like to talk, I want to show. So at the top, you see a home in Reading, Pennsylvania, obviously the area that I'm investing in. And the amount of bedrooms and the bathroom for the most part, and even the square footage for the most part is even the same. You know, just looking at it. So the one in Reading, Pennsylvania, it's 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, square foot 1,989 square feet. You know, for the most part. Well, it's okay. There's still a little bit of a difference and whatnot, but still, even. But the lot sizes are different. But as far as the homes, you know, the differences isn't that big. You know, both single family homes. You see the price in Reading, Pennsylvania is $187,000. You know, and the home in down in Woodbridge, Virginia, which is a part of the DMV area, it's $324,000. So you see the big difference. And these places are only about 3 hours away from each other. Like I said, do your own research. 3.5 hours, depending on traffic, away from each other. And you see that big difference in home prices, you know. So that's a big deal. You know, everybody wants to talk about it. I just wanted to give you that great example when it comes down to the real estate. You know, and it depends on your market, because obviously if you live in New York, $300,000 isn't a lot of money. If you live in California, $300 isn't a lot of money. But if you live in other most parts of the United States, $300,000 is considered a lot of money. So it's all about perspective, and it's all about what you grew up with and what you're used to. A lot of people's like, yo, that's nothing. You know, like even $500,000-$600,000, that's nothing. That's just the norm for a lot of people. So, but I always just like to do a little comparison, and there you have it on that one, because that's that's just one of those things you have to take into consideration when you move into a place. But thankfully, all of us having the internet nowadays, we can do this stuff, so we can, for the most part, make the right decisions at the end of the day when we make a move someplace. So I'll leave it at that. And when it comes to entertainment within the DMV area, it's easy to find concerts, comedy shows, sporting events. You got the Washington, D.C., National Harbor, you got downtown D.C., town centers throughout Northern Virginia, Southern Maryland. That's one thing. Another con to living in the DMV area is that the sense of demand is going up in the area. The cost of living, like I just showed you earlier, is going up in the area. So there's always a catch-22 at the end of the day. More demand, more people, higher the price goes. That's just what it is, Big pro, as you can see in this picture, this is a great place for you to start your career. This is a great place for you to, if you come here established, you're good to go. You're even better off than most. But if you come here and you're not established, for the most part, you're good to go. Because you'll be okay as long as you have the will, the drive, the determination, and the right networking skills in order for you to climb in your career or in your skilled trade. It just depends on the mentality and the kind of people you surround yourself with. And that goes with anything, especially if you're running your own business. You got to be around like-minded people, because if not, then you'll stay in a slump. Standstill people, they need to stay around standstill people. Forward-thinking people and action people need to be around forward-thinking and action people, and be around people that have already done it. So that's just how I look at it. But back to the pros and cons. Another very big con we have here is, we have a lot of uptight people. I call this area uptight country, because I think one of the biggest reasons is because you have a lot of people that work in or around the federal government. So that's mentality and the mindset for some people that work in the federal government and in the government contract sector. A lot of them they're surrounded by a snooty mentality of people that think they're better than other people because they think of themselves as rich, especially because if they came from hey, I commend anybody who came from a poor neighborhood or a small town and worked their way up and they're making a six-figure salary or even more. Hey, I commend you. But I always tell people, humble yourself. It does not give you the right to look down upon others just because they haven't, quote unquote, achieved your level of success, because everybody's level of success is different. It's not all about the dollar. Sometimes just somebody being able to enjoy the simple pleasures in life, that's what they consider their little level of success and whatnot. So, but because here you have people, because they have a overpriced house, an overpriced car, and overpriced clothes, or even if they got the knockoff Gucci bags and clothes, whatever the hell, they think that they're special than other people, and they think they have a right to have an uptight, snooty attitude. And that's because that's big and prevalent on all sides of the river, from the Potomac River. It's very hard to make friends here as an adult. Children is different, but as adults that are coming here, 20-somethings and 30-somethings and 40-somethings, it's very hard to make friends with people here because of the uptight attitude. Very cliquish, like high school a lot of times, and it's just sometimes the atmosphere in this area can make you just not want to be bothered with people and just do your own thing. Especially like if you're somebody like myself, you just want to get the heck out of here and move on and do something different. But that's another story for another day, another video for another day. So back to a big pro that we have, a lot of military bases. And here, even seeing the military base that I was born on, Fort Belvoir, Virginia. You have, and this is just some of the bases that you have here, but you have Quantico Marine Base, Andrews Air Force Base, Washington Navy Yard. So I wanted to make sure I touched the one that's in Maryland, DC, and Virginia. All military members, thank you for your service, greatly appreciated. But yeah, that's one of the best things that we have here is that we have a lot of military bases, and with a lot of military bases, you have a lot of jobs and you have a lot of opportunities for people to do great things. I say that with a lot of sincerity. And to end this video off, if you're thinking of moving here to the DMV area, I will implore you all that to ensure that you have your financial situation in check, together, the whole nine, if you can. Plan from the financial situation, not just talking about having a down payment for a home or down payment for your apartment complex or whatever you're going to do. Make sure you have your financial situation, have a couple $1,000s saved up afterwards. Ensure that you have at least an IRA, insurance annuity if you can, stocks, bonds, the whole nine. Have some stuff established from that level, just from the grassroots level. before you come moving here or to a place like here, because financially it will best suit you. That's just advice from a local given to the future transplants of the DMV. Especially for those that are coming here with Amazon. That's all I can say. If you just want to move here, like a lot of people do, especially nowadays in my generation, and so that you can get yourself started, you nice fresh start in life, and move somewhere else, then I suggest that you do not buy a house unless you're going to buy a house here and you're going to utilize it from a profit standpoint, a business standpoint. You buy it, you stay in it until you leave, you rent it out, you take the equity out of it, and you buy another one, do the same thing, then you get yourself some passive income. Something to think about, you know what I mean? Something to do some research, when it comes to that, because at the end of the day, the place is going to rent. That's one thing. The best thing about buying real estate in an area where there's high demand of people, the real estate is going to rent. It's a cash cow. It's a guarantee. Now how much you're going to make from it, that's all you got to do the numbers obviously on the property yourself, but it's a cash cow and it's something to look into. So I'll leave it at that. It's easier said than done. That's why I always say you got to look into it, but or if you're just the type that you really don't want that home responsibility. I've known people that do that, and they've moved to Florida, Missouri, Michigan, California, Washington State, Texas, Arizona. They moved on. Then go for it, man, because this is your life. You got one life and you got to live it. Don't live it on somebody else's terms. Live it on your own terms. I leave it at that, as long as it's like within the confines of the law. But I just keep it real on that aspect. So that's what I would do. And then while you're here, get all the skills that you can get all the education you can get. A lot of times, with a great example, a lot of corporations here, they have a great tuition reimbursement program, so you have an opportunity to get certifications, more degrees, or a degree. You have the same thing with being a federal employee. Obviously, the military, hey, you deserve all the great benefits that are coming your way. So that's why I'm not even talking to y'all, because y'all got the best benefits in the country, and you deserve them because you put your life on the line every day. So that's why I say thank you for your service. So I leave it at that. Get the skill sets, and if you want to go and move someplace else, make sure the skill sets that you're getting can be utilized someplace else, and make sure, if you really want to leave, that you put your money away, that you don't go on a vacation, that you don't buy the overpriced cars unless you're going to make some money off that overpriced car, that you don't get the overpriced apartment or house. It's just these little subtleties a lot of people don't want to do, because we are in the instant gratification generation because of the internet. I totally get it, but I will say that with sincerity, it's like, just do that, ensure that you get all the skill sets that you can get, and then go forward, because I see nothing wrong with that. You got one life, you got to live it. For all the transplants that are out there, if you're not really into the federal government culture and snooty people, then the DMV area really just isn't for you. And I can say that with all sincerity, and this is from a local. Now, maybe with Amazon coming here, it might change. I don't know. I've been to Seattle. I heard about the Seattle freeze, but I really didn't see it. Maybe it's just because I just visited. I didn't move there, but everybody was pretty cool when I went to Seattle. And when I went around Amazon headquarters, people didn't look miserable, so it's all about perspective. And it's all about what you want at the end of the day, excuse me. Definitely thirsty. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. That's it. Please give it a thumbs up. All that good stuff. Thanks for being loyal. And hey, if you got any comments or questions, please leave them in the comment section. Give it a thumbs up, and you guys take it easy. All right. Hopefully this video has been helpful for the future transplants of the DMV area.